Well, this is the auditorium, the conference auditorium, and it's lunchtime, so not many people are in here. I'll just give you a quick pan round. And there it is. Hello, Rosie. You all right? There we are. Give it 360 there. That's the ceiling up there. It's a big room, you see. And you see on the floor, there's these lines for football, five-side football, basketball. There's a basketball D there. There's it's a large number of people. Oh, we've got they're putting a movie on, a lunchtime movie. Yeah. I think they've got What the Bleep. That's good. Anyway, this is our auditorium. Well, I've had. It's now lunchtime, as I said, and we just had Brenda Butler on. Now she's one of the four heroines, or the four horsewomen of the Rendlesham Forest incident. As you know, you're familiar with my film on the Rendlesham Forest incident. You know, a massive, an absolutely massive UFO event that took place in 1980 in Suffolk. Hello, there's the old man Dan. Hello. One of the most biggest UFO events the world has ever seen, and thanks to Brenda and Butler and Dot Street and Georgina Bruni and Jenny Randalls, we actually got the government to admit that it actually happened. Now, that's very, very rare that happens. Otherwise, there was massive numbers of eyewitnesses among the security police at the Woodbridge Air Base. Lots of, including a live audio recording by Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, and a huge amount of everything else. Hello. A huge amount of other evidence, including which was published in the paper. Now, what Brenda revealed in her talk was that, this was not the only incident that's happened in that area. There have been lots and lots of other events that have happened in the Rendlesham Forest area. So, for instance, I think it dates back to the 15th century. There was a huge amount of fairy lights seen in the forest, which a local churchman said they called them devil's lights. Well, they were like that in those days. All right. So it went on from there. I mean, as I said, that area has a long reputation for anomalous phenomena. I'm very interested in the settling of the early Anglo-Saxon settlement at Sutton Hoo, which is an archaeological super site. It's one of the most famous Anglo-Saxon events everywhere. Right. And of course, I mean, this was, I believe, the pre-Illuminati Anglo-Saxons, before they were converted to Christianity, before they were converted to the hereditary hierarchy system, as you see in the Tableau Mound and things like that. So this was an early Anglo-Saxon settlement. Now, there's other things. I mean, like for instance, in 1916 in Aldborough, just up the coast, it's right on the border with Suffolk and Norfolk, there was a UFO seen outside. Someone looked out their bedroom window one day and they saw it looked like a circular platform with a handrail with a group of men standing on it. And these were like humanoid aliens. I mean, obviously they weren't humans in the normal sense of the word, but they were humanoid. Maybe Nordics, but they were wearing kind of uniforms, and it was a very peculiar event that was. And that was Aldborough. Now, I've spoken to you. Hello there. All right. Hello. How you doing? That's Brenda there. That's Brenda Butler. Now, I'm very interested also in the presence of the Orford Nest signal station. Now, we all know that high electrical transmissions can affect etheric Earth energy. Now, sightings of the signal station there may have been there for a reason, but it may also have had an effect, which was Brian Allen's theory. Because Brian Allen, a friend of mine and fellow researcher, has written many, many books. See PEG.com, the Paranormal Investigations Group. He said that the powerful electrical transmissions from the Signals Research Centre at Orford Ness produced a rent in the space-time continuum that allowed these dimensions to merge, as I explained in my previous film about the gateway to parallel universes, which I did last week. This actually makes a lot of sense to me. It fits in with a lot of other things I've had, you know. A lot of other institutes I've researched. Oh, so sleepy. I was nodding off a bit just now. I was sitting near the back, luckily. But she also, what Brenda also said was that the military activity on the day was not restricted to the Rendlesham Forest and the Woodridge base and the security police squadron there. The Royal Navy were active in that area. They positioned a ship just off the coast of Orfordness, whose crew were debriefed and forced to keep silent. Also, another strange thing, there was a Russian Tupolev aircraft, a maritime patrol aircraft around the area too. Now, during the Q&A session, you know, a man made a very good point. The thing is, like, it's hard to see how that would have happened against the will of the government, because as you know, I mean, what happened a couple of years ago, a similar incident happened where a Russian aircraft just 2 or 3 years ago threatened British airspace, and this is in the post-Cold War period, you know, after the fall of the communist regime there. Now, in 1980, this was during the Cold War period, when the Soviet Union was alive and well, and it was the evil empire, was the enemy, you know. Although, of course, the Soviet Union was actually created by the same people who run the West, the Western governments, but that's a long story for another time. But anyway, as far as public consumption was concerned, and you know, most people in authority, the Soviet Union was the enemy, and so the only way that a Tupolev aircraft could have been allowed anywhere near British airspace would have been with the government's permission, and this leads to the idea that maybe the Russians collaborated in research from the Rendlesham Forest incident. They were asked for their help, and they worked with the British and American governments in this incident, this UFO invasion of our planet. Now that's an interesting thought, you know. It's and Brenda says, you know, that it's carrying on today. The Rendlesham Forest is still a site of strange activity, and there's some mysterious reports of apparently they're trying to quarantine the forest at the moment because there's a canine illness. The local vets have been inundated with people with dogs that are very sick, and some of them die. And now apparently the authorities have got involved, and they say that there's some kind of disease in the forest which is affecting dogs. Because all the dogs that died have been walked. You know, their owners have walked them in Rendlesham Forest, and they want to quarantine the forest. That's new information. I'm not sure what's going on. That one, you know, that was not Brenda who told me that. That was someone else. But I'll keep you posted on that anyway. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye, David. All right.